So today we're going to be looking at time management, and we're going to be exploring how you can move from procrastination through into productivity. And we're going to be cherry picking a couple of little pieces from the bootcamp course to look at in a little bit more detail as part of this taster. So in bootcamp, we do 2 sessions on time management. We start off by doing a literature review. So we look at some of the best books that have been written about time management, and we look at the very particular lessons that we can take from those books. In the second session on time management, we move into practical advice. So we start thinking about how you plan your time, how you set goals, how you prioritize, looking at using to-do lists. And we look at things like time blocking and task batching and other time-saving strategies. And we also think about the things I'm going to talk to you about today, which include procrastination, completion anxiety, and the ability to say no. My first piece of advice to you is that each week you should take 60 minutes, 1 hour, to plan your week. You know, when you've got a load on your plate and you're juggling, you think, hang on a minute, I don't have time for this planning. But actually, it's the planning that allows you to be more efficient in the way that you use your time. And we think about prioritizing as well our to-do list. And we learn in bootcamp about the Eisenhower matrix, which you see a little graphic of on the screen here, thinking about immediately beginning with the things that are both important and urgent. We then plan to do the things that are important but less urgent. We make sure that we do the things that are urgent but not important, and we could ask somebody else to help with those. And then ideally, we try to eliminate the things from our to-do list that are neither important nor urgent. So this is the Eisenhower matrix for prioritizing your time. Next up, I want you to think about at the beginning of each day, taking 15 minutes to plan your day. A little 15-minute meeting with yourself, looking at what's on your to-do list, doing that important prioritization, and making sure that you use the time that you have that day in the most effective way, in the most productive way possible. I just want to run through quickly the approach that we look at in bootcamp about time management, actual practical application of time management. As part of bootcamp, we begin by pinning down our current business, because what we're hoping to do is improve, and we need to be able to measure the differences between where we are now and where we're hoping to go in order to observe that the changes that we're making to effect that improvement are actually working. And then we go through a process of creating a vision for the future. We understand where we are and we think about where we want to go. Then we turn those goals into manageable steps. So we look at where we are, we look at where we want to get to, and we make a plan for the steps that we're going to have to take to get from A to B. And we think about that in terms of how we're going to review things on a monthly basis and how we're going to work on a weekly and a daily basis as well, so that we can feel confident that we are actually taking the steps necessary in order to achieve the success that we're hoping for. We look at the tools and the techniques that we can use for staying on track, and we also think about reviewing and adjusting our plans. And I'm going to be talking to you about that a little bit now. Here is a rough sketch of what a weekly planner might look like. So I talked about taking that hour at the beginning of each week to plan the whole week. You can do it first thing on a Monday morning. Some people might prefer to do it last thing on a Sunday or at some point over the weekend so that you're ready for the week ahead. Then each day, you're taking 15 minutes to actually plan what you're going to do that day. We talk about non-negotiables, and these are the things that you're determined to do every day. Now, in my case, that might include work that I'm going to do on LinkedIn each day, work that I'm going to do on social media each day, and I pop that in. I know exactly what I need to do in that slot because I do it every day, and that is the next thing to go into my agenda or my time planning. Task batching is where you have a group of little chores So rather than breaking up your concentration with little piecemeal bits and bobs, you put them together, you batch together the smaller tasks and you get them all done in a one-er, and then you don't let them interrupt you for the rest of your day. And dealing with your emails could be like this. So you could put a little time slot in several times a day, which is when you check your email and you reply to the emails that can be replied to, let's say, within 2 minutes. So there is the 2-minute rule within time management that says that if it's possible to do something within a 2-minute period of time, you do it now. Otherwise, it's going to go onto your to-do list and it's going to get prioritized with everything else. The green blobs are your frogs, and this comes from a book called Eat Your Frogs, which suggests that if there's something on your to-do list that you're really not looking forward to and that you don't want to do, it's better to get it over and done with immediately. And then it's not hanging around in the back of your head and bringing you down. So the green slots are the points each day when you might choose to eat your frogs. And that leaves you with the rest of your schedule, the rest of your agenda, to pop in periods of intense working. And that goes in around the periods when you have client meetings, or you're meeting with suppliers, or you have meetings with colleagues, or whatever else it is during your week. So your work sprints are vacant envelopes of time into which you can put the prioritized contents of your to-do list. Now, it's really important as well to plan in pleasant things to do, to recognize that if you've been good and you've worked hard and you've stuck to the plan and you've been efficient, that you can actually take some time out to do things that fulfill you, the work-life balance things that make it all worth your while in having your own business in the first place. So we mustn't forget to pop those into our agenda too. So I'm going to talk to you today as well about procrastination, completion anxiety, and saying no. Questions for you if you procrastinate. Why are you hesitating? What is it that's stopping you from cracking on? Now, one solution to procrastination might be what we call time boxing, where we give ourselves a limited period of time, like half an hour, and we say this task that I'm failing to engage with has to be done in half an hour. I've only got this half an hour. After that, the case is closed. So I have to shove it into this box, and that can help you. There's also a time management technique called Pomodoro, which is when you set yourself a little timer and you work for a very short period of time, let's say 15 or 20 minutes, and then you give yourself a 5-minute break. And by working in these little short periods of time, you can think, well, it's only 20 minutes. It's only 20 minutes, and then I'm going to have a break. We can all cope with that 20-minute period of time. I have my own personal strategy where I have what I think of as boss and worker mode. So when I do my time planning, I decide that I am the boss. I'm the person in charge. I'm the one who's developing the strategy. I'm the one who's creating the to-do list, the things that need to be done. And when I'm in worker mode, all I do is take the instructions that were given to me by the boss. So I have a list of things to do. And because I trust that all that strategizing, all that planning has been done and it's been done effectively, I don't need to worry about it. I just crack on and work through the things that are on the to-do list. So sometimes thinking about dividing yourself into, thinking about one aspect of your performance as being boss performance, and then your day-to-day, the bulk of what you're doing, you are a worker in your own business, can help you focus and concentrate on the tasks that you have on your to-do list. Obviously, you want to eliminate distractions, putting your phone onto a focus setting that will stop messages or WhatsApp or Instagram pings or whatever coming through while you're working. And you need to reward yourself. So that little treat that we put in on the Friday afternoon because you've worked hard and you've been good, you have that in your diary as something to really look forward to because you've done all of the things that you might otherwise have procrastinated about. Okay, completion anxiety is the next challenge that we're going to look at in day 2. There are reasons why we might get to 97% done and yet not quite be able to pull ourselves together and able to do the last 3%. It can be because whilst the thing is still on our desk, it isn't out there in the world being judged. Maybe we're afraid of criticism. Many interior designers are perfectionists, and this can be one of their greatest challenges or problems. And at that point, I think we need to think that if you perform at 90%, that's still an A-star grade. You know, you are still performing at the very highest level. So it's okay for things to be 5 or 10% off. And it's okay for the sum total to be 80% or 90%. You don't have to get 100% across the board. See, we have to let go of some of our perfectionism. Perhaps we lack confidence, and then we come back to acting as if, you know, we have to fake it till we make it. Sometimes we just have to, you know, get over ourselves and act as if we have that confidence, and the confidence ultimately will come. Perhaps you're nervous about completing something because then what? What happens next? You don't have a plan, or you're frightened about the thing that you know you need to do next. And as long as you're still in the before, then you don't have to confront the next. So future uncertainty can be a cause for completion anxiety. And finally, maybe you're putting together a pitch for a really important job, something that you're terrified of losing. Maybe if you don't get that job, you don't know what's going to happen next. You know, there are high stakes associated with the thing that you're working on. And the fact is, we need to recognize why we are struggling with completion, and we just have to get over it, is the bottom line. So when you know what it is that is causing you to hesitate, that can be helpful in getting through it and getting the energy together for that final push to help you complete the thing that you're working on. Okay, so there might be personal reasons why we find it difficult to say no. I'm going to talk to you about AI as part of this course because it can be a really useful aid to you. And one thing I find AI really useful is in helping me to draft those emails or to create the script that I'm going to deliver where I say no to somebody. I find it really helpful to use AI to help me to make that script. And I'm going to be talking to you about how we can use AI within our business. So I'm going to come back to that. I'm also going to talk to you a little bit about managing your clients. That's coming up in a future lesson. And I'm going to talk to you about boundaries and how we manage our boundaries. So that is coming up too. I love the idea of non-negotiables. So non-negotiables are things within your business that you say you will never do. So, for example, I will not work for free. I just won't do it. If you ask me to do something that my brain recognizes is actually working for you for free, I'm just going to say no. No, I don't do it. Now, if you have that non-negotiable, and it could, you know, you could have your own set of non-negotiables, it becomes impossible to say yes. It's like, well, I don't do that, so I have to say no. So identifying your non-negotiables, really important. Understanding your value. Again, we can come back to acting as if with this, but understanding your value is really key to being able to say no to certain things. Working on becoming more assertive, communicating clearly and positively, so not being blurry around the no, and also perhaps explaining a little bit about our position, but not too much. And again, that's where I find AI can be really useful in helping me to draft these no responses that come across as being very professional, very encouraging, and very polite. If saying no is a really major challenge for you personally, then you can look at working with somebody, working with a professional who can help you to understand what lies behind that and maybe to work to overcome it in the future. And you can also see no as being an opportunity, because when you turn down something that you really shouldn't be doing, you make space in your calendar and in your business to do other things. And perhaps that's where there is space for greater opportunity. Today we looked at mastering time, We are going to come back to the boundaries that we were speaking about. And I am also going to talk to you about AI and how you can use AI in your business to be really beneficial and helpful. So tomorrow, the material that's going to land with you is going to look at training your clients and setting your boundaries for success. And I'm going to be back with that material for you tomorrow. I'll see you then.